Hello, and welcome to a nice Automation Studio walkthrough. Today, I'll be taking you through our categorization training. For starters, let's create all the variables we're going to need. So, we're going to do 5 categories in this training bot. So, we're going to create 5 different variables, simple variables, called category 1, category 2, category 3, 4, and 5. Once we made these, we're going to need a few more. So we're going to make another simple variable, and this one is going to be the clipboard text. So this is going to be everything that we capture whenever we copy anything. Next, we're going to want the Excel file path. And after that, we're going to want sheet name. Next, we need to make 2 more. And these are going to be rows. So we're going to go into our complex, general, and then click row. And this one will just be row. And the next one will be row format. Now that we've got this, we can get on to creating the different workflows we need. So this first workflow, we're going to rename. We're going to rename this workflow to assign categories. Then we're going to create another one. And we're going to call this one copy text to file. Once we have that, we can create the callouts that we're going to use. So, let's get into that. The first callout we're going to make will be right here. In this one, we're going to change the title of it to insert categories. Next, what we want to do is we want to put a table in. So in this case, we're going to have 6 rows in 1 column. Now, we're going to put a button at the bottom. And this button, we're going to change the name to completed. And we'll change the content to completed. Then in here, what we're going to do is we're going to put in input fields. And we're going to bring these the length of the box, just so it covers everything nicely. Perfect. Now that we've done this, let's change the name of the callout so we remember it. This callout will be insert categories. Perfect. But now we have to make sure the button does something. So we go down here to control actions, and then from control actions, we go to our common statements, where we're going to grab a sign and we're going to bring it down here. Now we're going to bring it down here 5 times. And what we're going to do here is we need to make sure we're inserting the categories put in here. So we want to take these, the value, and let's go get the value for all of them. So we go in, and we're going to each input listed. Now, see how I just clicked visible? You're going to want to make sure you don't do that. If you click visible, it won't work. So, make sure you're always grabbing value. From there, we need to assign it. And since each of these are going to be the categories, we're going to assign it into each category variable. So we have our category 1, category 2, category 3, and etc. Once that's done, we need to make sure we're now going to be setting the value in Excel. So we're going to search in here and type in set cell value. And now you can see we have two options. We have set cell value in active and set cell value in an Excel without Excel open. We're going to want to take the one without Excel. And once again, we're going to need 5 of these. Now that we've got that, our Excel file path is going to be our variable. Don't worry, we'll change this variable to have our actual Excel file path in a bit. But for now, we at least want to put it as a placeholder here. Now that we've got our Excel path in there, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we have the sheet names correct. So for this, it's going to be sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4, and sheet 5. And now that we have the sheet names filled in, we're going to put the cells. So every cell is just going to be A1. It's going to be the first cell at the top of our Excel sheet every time. And next for the value. For the values, we're going to take what we just filled in, the categories. So once again, we have category 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Perfect. Now, we need it to close this call out and start a workflow. So we're going to go into our call out here. We're going to close. And then we're going to run the assign categories workflow. Awesome. Now don't worry about it yet because we don't have anything put in there. First, we need to create the callout for the data. So we're going to create a new callout. In this one, we're going to rename to select category. And our title is going to be data categories. Perfect. From there, we're going to do the same thing we did last time with the table, where we're going to have 6 rows. But this time, we're going to put buttons in all of these. Except for the first one, because we only need 5. In that first one, what we're going to do is, we're going to put in a text, a label. And we're going to assign categories to this label. We're going to say, select where you would like this data stored. And this is going to be for every time that you copy something, it's going to ask you, okay, where do you want this? And now down here, I'm going to change this to black because I think it shows a lot better. But you can keep it as gray if you like. Next, we're going to just stretch out the buttons so they're the length of it. And don't worry about changing the name of the buttons. We'll be doing that in the assign categories steps. From here, we're just going to go into the buttons. We're going to click the control actions. And we're just going to do something very simple. We're going to take assign. And what we're going to do here is we're going to assign a value into the sheet name. So for example, this will be sheet 1. And we're going to do that on every single one of them. But we also need to do something else. We need to close this every time. So our select categories, we need to close. And then we need to run the copy text to file workflow. So let's do that for every button. We go down here, and we're going to assign. This time, it's category 2. Oh, my apologies. And this is sheet name. And this is sheet 2. Since it's the second category, and we're going to do this on every single one again. So let's go in, and we need the sheet name, and this will be sheet 3. Once again, sheet name, this will be sheet 4. And once again, need the sheet name, and this one will be sheet 5. Perfect. Now we have to go back through every single one of them and add those two things. So we need to close and start. So then we close and start, close and start, and the last one, close and start. Perfect. Now that we have that call out all good, let's handle the 2 event handlers that we're going to need. So, just click the plus button up here to create an event handler. And for this first event handler, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that every time the system is loaded, it shows our call out. So we need to insert categories, and we need it to show. So if you type in here, if you type solution, you'll see solution loaded. And we're going to drag that over into our when. Because what we need is, we need every time the solution's loaded, it'll show the insert categories. Just like that. And that's all we need for the first event handler. Next, we're going to create a second event handler. And this one is going to be what we do when our clipboard changes. So, we need to do our clipboard. And when the clipboard changes, what are we going to do? Well, we need to get an assign. And we're going to be assigning this into our clipboard text. But what are we going to be assigning? Well, just search get clipboard, and get clipboard text will show up. And next, we need to show the select categories call out. That way, every time we copy something new, it asks where you want to store it. Perfect. Now we can move on to the final steps of actually creating the workflows we need. So, here's the assign categories. We're going to go in here, we're going to connect it, and this one we can actually call assign categories. Perfect. Now in here we're just going to need 5 assign functions, because we're going to be assigning every category. So, in this case, category 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to be putting these into our select categories, and we're going to be putting this into each button. So we're going to do button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4, and button 5. Perfect. Next, we're going to need one more, which this one, for our sake, let's just call it test. And what this one's going to be is, this is just going to be a test to make sure that we do have 5 categories when we're assigning the data. Otherwise, we don't want the button to show up. So, we're going to need 5 different if statements. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Perfect. Now, what we're going to do is, we're just going to get every single category again. So, category 1, category 2, 3, 4, and 5. And in here, you're going to go is empty. So make sure you get every single one of them as empty. And next, if it's empty, we just need to bring another assign. And the property here is going to be the button. And this time it's going to be visible. So let's drag that down into the then for each of them. And every time, remember, go into the callout, select categories. This one, it's category 2, so it's going to be the button 2. This one's category 3, so it's going to be button 3. This is category 4, so once again, button 4. And finally, category 5 for button 5. Perfect. Now we've completed this one, we can move on to our final step. And that's going to be our copy text to file. So we can just call this copy to Excel. And now that we have this is the last thing we need to do. So go into our variables here. We're going to take the row format, cells, and we're going to remove all. Once we've removed all, we're going to add an element at the end, and you're just going to type in string. From there, we're going to go into the regular row, and we're going to remove all. And next, we're going to add an element at the end of the list. This one is going to be our clipboard text. Next, we need to append rows to Excel. So you can either search through the built-in statements through Microsoft Office, or you can just type in append rows. Append rows to Excel. Now, the full path we're going to use, once again, is our Excel path. And the sheet name, we're not going to type one in like we normally do. We're going to use our sheet name variable. Now for the format, we're going to use the temporary list. And now that we have our temporary list, we are going to have it as our row format. And for the values, once again, temporary list. And this time we're going to use the values in our row. From there, everything's completed, except we still need to go and get our Excel path so this all works. So, open a new Excel. I already have one here, but as you can see, there's only one sheet, and we need 5. So, click the plus until you have 5 sheets, and there's no need to change the names because we've already assigned them as this. Next, you just want to save it, and save it somewhere you'll remember. And I'll call this category training. And save. Once you have it saved, you just have to go get it. So, simply open up the location wherever you stored it. In my case, it's right here. Highlight it. Go to Home. Copy file path. We can close out of this Excel now that it's all saved. And we're going to put this in our Excel path. So, click on Edit, the initial value we're going to paste, and then remove the quotes, and finish. Then, save your automation, and once it's saved, the project's complete. Now, let's run it and show that it works. So, we click Start Project. It's entering execution mode. And once this is done, you'll see that a callout should pop up. And this is where we insert our categories. So we'll just do accounting, finance, business, science, and other, just to show that it works. You can put anything you want in here. Those are just the first things that came to my mind. Now we click completed and it'll close it. And as you can see, it just ran the assigned categories. So we know it worked. Next, go to the customer experience page on NICE. At least that's what I'll be using. You can use any website you want. And then we're just going to test it by copying this. So let's copy this. And as you can see, it asks where we'd like it stored. In this case, we'll say it's accounting. It'll run in the background. Next, let's copy something different. I'll just put one in each. That way we have something everywhere. So we're going to go through. And now that we've copied something in every location, I'll keep it open just so we can see that the project's still running. Next, go to our Excel sheet that we have. Open it up. And as you can see, it transferred everything exactly where it belongs. Thank you for watching, and hopefully this helped you out.